Gary Payton and the Seattle Supersonics.
Hey, Peter with the Seattle Mariners and Jermaine Kearse.
Cliff Averill.
This is Dave Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam.
You're watching NorbCam.
What's up, guys? This is NorbCam coming at you on this very busy and exciting official first day of NFL free agency. And if you guys have been watching the news and keeping up on Seahawks current events, as you know, it's already been happening even before today. Some crazy stuff that I think a lot of us maybe seen coming and maybe didn't see coming, but there have definitely been a lot of changes. So, and a ton of activity today. And some of you guys may be trying to make sense of all this. You know, what's happening to our team? Why are they not doing something? Why are they doing something? All I know is that we have a lot to talk about, and what better way to get some perspective on this than bring on back a couple of experts I consider to have some expertise on the situation. I want to bring back to you guys the Seahawkers podcast guys, and we're talking about Brandan and Adam. Guys, welcome back to the show, Brandan and Adam.
What is up, Norb? It's over. Oh, it's over. We may as well I don't know, find a new fandom.
Let's fold up the team. We'll fold up the team. It's all over. It's the worst thing that's ever happened. There's a lot of hysteria out there, Norb, but I'm glad you are having us on here to kind of talk everybody through it, because somehow I think it's going to be okay.
Well, and that's what I want to find out from you guys, just to see, because I've heard so many different reactions from people saying the season is screwed. Don't worry. In Pete and John, we trust. But at the same time, you got to have to look at what's going on around the league. And there's a lot going on, especially in our division. And then our Seahawks have been relatively quiet in all this, understandably so, for a very good reason. So let's first talk about the most obvious one, since we haven't chatted since all this has gone down. I want to get right to the elephant in the room, Richard Sherman. Now, last time you guys were on the show, I can't quote you on this, but I almost got a certain guarantee from a certain couple of guys on this that Richard Sherman was not going anywhere. Can you explain to me why Richard Sherman is now not only not on the Seahawks, but is a freaking 49er? How do you explain that?
I can't. It's really a perplexing move by the Seahawks, in my opinion. I mean, you look at the type of money that the other corners are signing for here in free agency, lesser players than Richard Sherman, and we're talking $15 million a year, things like that. He was set to make 11, and you cut the guy. Like, I honestly don't get it. I understand that there's, capped space there that you're trying to clear and all that, but I can't imagine giving away a top 3 player at his position in his prime, even if he is coming off of a couple surgeries here, and just let him go for nothing. And then not only that, when you release him, now he has the opportunity to go to a division rival, and that's exactly what he did. And I'm very perplexed. That's about the best way I can put it.
Yeah, after we talked on your show, Norb, Adam and I, we did our show. We talked to Danny Kelly of The Ringer. And after that conversation, he made it sound like he thought Sherman was going, which, okay. But, yeah, to have him go for nothing. And that was the one thing that Adam and I talked about. And this is before the Rams brought in Aqib Talib on a trade. You knew that if you did let Sherman go, he was going to go to one of your rivals. And sure enough, he goes straight to the 49ers, signs a deal, and really, that's I can't think of a worse place for him to be. I mean, it takes me back to when I was a kid, and I was a big Dave Craig, Steve Largent fan growing up as a kid. Steve Largent, of course, retires, which was a bummer. But when I saw Dave Craig go and put on that red Chiefs uniform, that was tough for me to take. And I think now there's going to be a lot of kids that this is going to be that one big deal where here's Sherman, a player that they own their jersey and really enjoyed. And now here they're watching him over at the 49ers.
Well, and I think, after my first reaction when I saw that Sherman was going to go to the Niners, I was first shocked and a little bit pissed off. Felt a little bit betrayed, but then I had to kind of calm down from everything. And then the more you think about it, this was not a, situation where he was demanding to be traded. He didn't hold out. He did everything he was supposed to do. The Seahawks, understandably, had to let him go based on the financial reasons and so forth. And I guess part of me, the fan part of me, just wanted to see him at least shop around a little bit, make it feel like he was checking other places out instead of going right to the rival and signing with them. But, after looking at everything, after the dust settled, the contract he got really wasn't all that great. You look at the numbers on the page, it says 3 years, 39, was it 3 years, 39 million was kind of how they're hyping it up. But in reality, if you really break it down, it's definitely not that. It could be if he plays like he did in 2013 or 2014. But in reality, this could be a $5 million contract that lasts only a year, and the 49ers could cut him at any time. So really, it's very 49er friendly. But the bottom line is this is where he went to school, he went to college, his family lives down in that area. So the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I can't really blame him for that choice. Now, he likes to run his mouth, and he's already talking about sort of getting revenge and things like that. And I think that's going to be the hardest thing. Like you pointed out, Brandan, is just seeing him in that other uniform, seeing him twice a year going against our team, knocking passes down, trying to get interceptions, tackling our guys, and watching him trash talk on the other side. We've always wondered what it's like to be we have Richard Sherman on our team trash talking and seeing everybody else hate him. And now I always used to wonder, what it must be like to be on the other side. Well, now we get to see what it's like because we're going to see him right down the coast 2 times a year, being on the receiving end of Sherman. So anyway, I guess
that's part of the hilarious thing though, too, is I have 49ers friends now who are texting me and they're conflicted because, here's a guy that they've been trash talked so much by Sherman, they just can't stand him. And now they have him on their team. So in that way, it's kind of funny. But then you do see 49ers fans, too, who are super stoked to have him on their team. So it's pretty interesting there. As far as his contract, the thing that bothered me most, I guess, was that him saying that he called the Seahawks back and they, and they weren't willing to go with the same type of deal that he got from San Francisco. And if that's really the case, now we know Sherman has been known to maybe not tell the truth completely in the past. So I am willing to think that he might not be telling the truth necessarily on this too. But, if they weren't willing to bring him back for that kind of deal, it really tells you they did want to get rid of him. Because, like you said, a team-friendly deal. And I know a lot of people are making a big deal out of it. Oh, he's his own agent, so he got a terrible deal. He didn't get a terrible deal because he's his own agent. He got a terrible deal because he's coming off of 2 Achilles surgeries.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, Brandon. I think you put that very well. Now, one thing I want to make clear is I hold no ill will against Richard Sherman for going to the 49ers. I mean, to quote Jalen Rose, keep getting them checks. Like, that's what you got to do. But I find it really interesting that we couldn't have matched that offer. We couldn't even, before he became released, we couldn't have even renegotiated his contract to a more team-friendly deal that's similar to what the 49ers gave him. We couldn't afford that. I think we could have. So when I really think about it, at the end of the day, the 2 biggest moves here in this last week is A, Michael Bennett is shipped off to the Eagles, and B, Richard Sherman is released. Is there anything that connects those 2 players? Any similarities that they may have? Yeah, they're both the most outspoken, controversial people on the team. And I honestly think that Pete Carroll was tired of it. I really do. The sideline explosions, having to explain to the media about who's sitting or standing to the anthem, just all of it. I think he was just tired of it. It's a distraction, something that takes away from clear messaging, and that's something he really prides himself on.
Well, Richard Sherman calling Pete Carroll's meetings, kumbaya meetings.
Right.
I could see Pete Carroll not wanting to deal with that anymore.
I agree with you, and that transitions into the Michael Bennett trade, which I, to be honest, was more surprised at than the Richard Sherman one. I saw the Richard Sherman one. I had called that one a while ago, saying that they're going to have to decide between him and Earl Thomas, and I thought if they were going to do the right decision, they would pick Thomas over Sherman. So far, that's the case. We'll find out about Thomas. But the Bennett thing surprised me because he's not a big cap number. I thought he still had years left in the tank. Clearly, the Eagles believe that. And, he was playing on an injury-riddled season that hampered his productivity. So I have to kind of agree with you that I think it's twofold. I think it's both the outspoken sideline and off-field drama that was building up to this point that was also creating a very negative vibe, not just with within the organization, but with the fans. A lot of people, and I know a lot of them personally, who said they were tired of the Seahawks because of Michael Bennett himself because of the anthem thing. Not saying whether I agree or disagree with them, but that was the case. And so they probably weighed that in, that the fan base was getting a little bit lost and a little bit frustrated at that particular, one individual. But I think the other thing too is, and I spoke to this about my buddy Mark Collins, and we talked about the fact that, Pete Carroll's coaching style is very much about the players coach, the rah-rah thing, and it works well with the young guys. But with the veterans who've been around for a while, I think that does start to wear off. And it's very possible that those guys, in the combination, I think, Super Bowl 49 frustration, which they never got over, and then 2, the fact that I think they were starting to kind of not buy into the Kool-Aid that Pete Carroll, pours out in his style. I think he kind of probably felt like he lost them a bit, and the best way to just move on is take advantage of this opportunity, which was clearly a no playoff season, time to restock, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, and they took advantage of that opportunity to basically let these 2 guys go, even though there was a lot of reasons they could have kept them. But anyway, that's my take. So I think you're right. I think there are other reasons besides football performance and cap numbers.
Yeah, and as fans, all we can do is judge based on what we see on the field. And I think that's what, in the case of Michael Bennett, you look at his contract and you say, well, shoot, they're going to have a $2 million. They're only getting $2 million by letting him go. And then when you include the fact that they traded for another player, you're talking about a cap savings of $1.5 million. And really, are you going to find anybody with that's able to fill that kind of production with that amount of money? And when you look at it that way, you say, well, you can't, so why not keep him? But again, there's all these other factors that we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different factors, and I think one of them is, we talked about this a little last time we were on, Norb. Are we rebuilding or reloading? And I think you've gotten a very clear indication from the organization that they're rebuilding. They didn't think they could just run it back one more year and really compete and really be in it. Let's not lie. We went all in last year with Sheldon Richardson signing and the trade for Dwayne Brown. Like, this organization felt like they had a Super Bowl winning team last year, and they went all in. And that was great. I supported it then, and I still support it now. But the point is that when you do that and you spend all those resources like that and you get really close to the edge of the cap number, there's going to be consequences down the road, and that's what we're seeing now. And I think what the Seahawks have decided is, look, we got to go with a youth movement, and that's kind of the direction they're going.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. We're reaping what we sowed, And so last season they were all in, didn't work out, hardly, not even close to what they hoped it would be, and now this is what we're stuck with. And so, but let's go to some calls. I see a lot of people, a lot of lines filled up here. Let's go to some calls. I know with a lot of people with things on their minds. So let's see, who do we want to start off with? I was going to go to Anita, but I don't see her on there anymore. So let's go to the next one in line here. We'll take it in order that's received. Let's go with Brandan over in Minneapolis. Okay, let me see if this is working. Brandan, are you there?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Brandan in Minneapolis, what's going on, man? What's your thoughts on all this crazy free agency stuff?
Norb, bro, this is crazy, man. You got Kirk Cousins coming to Minnesota. You got Sammy Watkins going over the Chiefs. It's just insane, man.
Yeah, it's definitely insane. But what's your thoughts on specifically with the Seahawks, man? Are you frustrated? Do you feel good about what's going on, or do you feel like you trust in what they're doing and it's all part of the plan?
I have some trust, and I really don't feel confident in what they're doing. I only trust them because I know they're going to pull off good guys in the draft, but it didn't make sense releasing Sherman. I get the cap space and all that, but it's just like, you got to keep him. You just can't release him. But he's a big name on our defense, and we already lost Michael Bennett, so I just feel like you can't lose Sherman in that.
Well, unfortunately, we already have. So, we're moving on. Get a taste. Really, we got a taste of what a Sherman-less defense looks like, and it was basically the last third of last year. So it's not like a big shocker in the sense that we don't know what we're going to do without him. We saw what we did without him. It's just going to be weird seeing him in another uniform this time instead of just on the sideline. But
right, and really, did they? When you look at the last 6 games of the season. When you had Byron Maxwell, hopefully they can re-sign him. Unfortunately, Deshaun Shedd goes to the Lions. That was a bummer to see. And but the good thing is Justin Pullman
too. But
yeah, I think they made
so
a big
frustrated
mistake there. Yeah.
That one sticks in my craw, man.
Well, and especially the reaction to it too, because just when you have everybody out there saying, "Oh, the Seahawks are so great, letting Deshaun shed, releasing him so he can go to free agency instead of paying his $1.2 million that he was set to receive from his contract rolling over to 2018." No, you don't just let him go to free agency. You give him a new deal. And if that's what you want to do, and that's what they should have done, give him a new deal, keep him on the team, and tear up the $1.2 million contract you were set to owe him if you want to treat him well.
Yeah, and what I didn't understand about that is if they were going to let him go anyway, why did we add him for another year last year if they had no intention of keeping him beyond this year? It made no sense to me. I thought for sure they'd keep him around, at least some depth, but totally perplexing. Didn't get that one either.
He's a starting caliber corner in this league who played very well in 2016 and is the type of person that Pete Carroll just gushes about. They love his mindset, his attitude, the way that he attacks everything in his life, including the rehab coming back from the knee injury. And then to just let him go for nothing. And really, what did he sign for in Detroit? Was it like $6 million a year? It was something that?
It was 3.5 with incentives that took him up to $6 million.
Right. You're telling me we couldn't afford that? You just let go of Richard Sherman. Like, supposedly that's freeing up cap space, and we couldn't re-sign Deshaun Shed. Look at the money the other corners are getting on the free agency market, and you could have gotten a starting caliber corner from anywhere to $3 to $6 million a year, and you just let him walk. And a guy that plays in your system, works well with your coaching staff. Out of all of the guys that we have let go, this is the one that makes the absolute least sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. And I tried to rationalize it. I thought, well, maybe the only thing that makes sense to me is that we got all new coaches, all new coordinators. Maybe there's a whole different direction they want to go. It still doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense from the dollar standpoint. Didn't make any sense from the fact that we had, like you said, starting caliber corner in our hands, and we're that much more in the hole to have to fill. It's crazy. I've yet to figure out what their plan is, but. Anyway, hey, Brandan, thanks for the call. Thanks for the call. You can hang around here. I'm going to keep the line open, but I do want to get Nita on the line because she was waiting a long time, and now she's back. So, Nita, you are over in Spokane. How's it going over there? How you doing?
Oh, I'm brokenhearted. I'm just, hey, Norb, what's up? Hi, Brandan. Hi, Adam.
Howdy.
I have been heartsick since they let Sherman go. Absolutely heartsick. I could not even function the day they let him go.
Yeah, I think this is a natural reaction for a lot of fans. I mean, especially when, like, we all fall in love with our fandom for a team at different points in life. And there's a lot of folks that really fell in love with the Seahawks. 2012, Russell Wilson comes along in their rise and ascension to the Super Bowl and all that. And they fell in love with this cast of characters, this group of guys. These were the guys that you wanted to roll with. And when you see the first major one of those guys leave your team, when you're not really ready for him to go, it's not like it's at the tail end of his career. I think it's hard to take. And I think that's where a lot of the freak out from Seahawks fans is coming from, are newer fans who just haven't been through a couple iterations of Seahawks football. I mean, guys come and go. I mean, I was a huge fan of Hasselbeck in that whole era. Like, I loved all those guys. To watch Hutchinson go was painful, just like this. So I think it's a natural reaction, but at the end of the day, there's gonna be new guys you fall in love with. I mean, Shaquem Griffin's gonna be a Seahawk here in just a little bit, and you'll be able to fall every bit in love with him as he did with Sherman.
Yeah, you got some inside news on that scoop, or is that just wishful thinking?
I'm just saying it's happening. Yeah.
But like Norb said, for him to go to I refer to them as the whiners, never the Niners, the whiners. That's gonna be the way it is the whole time. I don't know that I can root for him in a Winers uniform.
Oh, well,
I have to root for him, but
well,
definitely not twice a season. Anytime except for the 2 times that we faced the Niners twice a season. Then you can hope that he is okay.
No, this is my feeling. I mean, I'm a Seahawk fan first and foremost, and if somebody leaves my team and goes to another team, like Golden Tate, he's gone. I'll be curious to see how his career goes, and don't wish any ill will, but I'm not rooting for him anymore. He's on the other team. Now, the only time I root for him is when they will help our team do better. Let's say they're playing the Rams and the Niners are out of the playoffs and the Rams are fighting for us, with us and for the number 1 spot. Heck yeah, go Niners, go Sherman, go kick their butt. But outside of that, they're on the other team. They're on the rivals team especially. I'm sorry, they're now the enemy in my mind, even though I loved everything he did for them from day one to this point. But that's just how it is, They change uniforms; they're no longer on my team. That's my friend. That's my.
I'm pretty scared right now. I mean, everything they're doing, Sherman, Bennett, and now there's talk about maybe Thomas, and it's like, good grief! I have to agree with. I think it was Adam that said it. Pete was just a little tired of Sherman and Bennett talking and their sideline stuff and whatever went on.
Yeah, we'll never know the real reasons, but it certainly looks like they're, how do we qualify that if this is a reload or rebuild, or what's really the difference? I think what it is, it's a rebuild, but you have a quarterback. Most of the time you call it a rebuild, they're rebuilding because they don't have a quarterback and everything is starting over. At least we have that. That's the one thing we have going for us.
We got Russell Wilson, we got Bobby Wagner, Doug Baldwin's still on the team. Earl Thomas is. I don't think Earl Thomas is going to leave. I think a lot of people get worried because Bradley McDougall was signed to a new deal, and they thought, well, that could be the precursor to Earl leaving. I think Earl stays. KJ Wright's still here. I mean, and then you have younger guys that you will look to pay, like Frank Clark, and you got Tyler Lockett. So I mean, there's still a lot of guys to root for on this team.
Well, and I think what's interesting, Brandon, I agree with you very much about the Earl Thomas thing. I really feel like he will absolutely be staying, because I think what the Seahawks said with the move of releasing Sherman was that when it all is said and done, we've talked about it a million times as fans, who is the most important person of the LOB? Is it Earl Thomas? Is it Cam Chancellor? Is it Richard Sherman? I think you've seen the Seahawks go with and make it clear that the most important person out of those guys is Earl Thomas.
And the last 6 games of the season showed it.
Right. If you have Earl Thomas covering up for any mistakes of your corners up front, roaming the field in Area 29 back there, Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright patrolling the middle, and then you still have a pretty decent pass rush when you're talking about Frank Clark and Deion Jordan, possibility of bringing Sheldon Richardson back. This defense is still going to be a good defense, but this team has to change. When you pay Russell Wilson that kind of money, eventually it's got to be a quarterback-centric team. And a lot of these moves remind me a little of like what the Patriots have done over the years. I mean, getting rid of Michael Bennett maybe a year early, like the Patriots always do. Get a little something in return, even if it's a fifth and, some receiver and a bag of balls. But, I just think that's kind of the mindset they're going at. And I think they made it clear that Earl Thomas is the guy.
That is, if Earl Thomas wants to be here. He's made lots of hints that he's floated the whole Dallas thing.
Well, yeah, one hint.
One hint. But he also said, I might hold out. He said he may hold out. So he's definitely put some things out there. But
yes, of course he said he might hold out. He's coming into the last year of his deal. That's all the leverage you have as a player.
Sure.
And your career, the average career in the NFL only lasts 3.5 years. So if you're at Earl Thomas's stage of your career, you got maybe one more big payday coming your way.
Right.
And that's legacy money. And so he's just trying to up his price like that. He'll be there. He's not holding out games but you have to make the threat. It's the way the game's played.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't think we'll get to a point of a holdout. I think this is going to be settled way before then, maybe in the next 24, 48 hours, I'm thinking. But I think, it does come down to where does he truly want to be? With all the changes going on, with Sherman leaving and the team going through kind of a whole defensive rebuild, is Thomas going to get a deal that he feels he's worthy of? And are the Seahawks going to give him what he feels he can get? If he's after the money, somebody else might pay him more money. You know what I mean?
Just a quick question, Norb. I mean, I understand it might be where he may or may not want to be, but is he under contract to play for the Seattle Seahawks next year? So it's not really up to him. He doesn't really have the leverage.
As far as this season's concerned, yes, he can't go anywhere else. He can hold out, and that's it. But I guess we're talking long term, beyond next year.
All right.
I'm talking about the future. I'm talking about, does he want to be with this team? Is he going to be with this team 2018 and beyond. That is, I guess, is what I'm getting at. So,
I bet if you pay him, the answer will be
well,
yes.
yeah, that's it. It is the number. Is the number the Seahawks going to pay the number that Earl Thomas is willing to take? I guess that's the question. So.
Yeah.
Hey, Nita, thank you for
Do you
your call.
remember John Schneider?
Yeah, go
Do you
ahead.
remember John Schneider saying what? Do you remember John Schneider saying a week or so ago that no one is safe? Well, those words are ringing true now.
Well, I think that's true. I mean, it really goes for almost any team. And you can almost say everybody except Russell Wilson. And maybe even if the price was right for Russell Wilson, they might even consider that if you get a zillion first-round trades, picks and a whole new offensive line. Who knows? But, I think other than Russell Wilson, I don't think anybody is completely untouchable. So,
I think I'm going to bury my head in the sand until this is all over with. That's all I can do. My heart is just broken. I'm sure you can see my tears, Norb, from Spokane to where are you, Renton?
Yes, that's where I'm at, right? Just 10 minutes away from the VMAC. But yes, I can feel your tears, feel it all the way from here. But hey, don't bury your head in the sand too deep. Don't suffocate yourself in there. It'll be okay.
I'll keep my nose up, but my eyes, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but we're going to have to brace for impact that this is just going to be a very different-looking team next year. But, that's just kind of how, that's how the way the ball bounces. Hey, Nita, I'm going to grab some other calls, but thank you for being part of this. I appreciate it. Take care. Go Hawks.
Take care. Go Hawks.
Well, and here's the other thing for Anita, Norb, is that now the entire offseason, we're going to be hearing about, how much trouble the Seahawks are in, how terrible we're going to be next season. It'll just make it all the sweeter when we take down the Niners and the Rams and that next year. It'll make it that much better.
Well, the other thing too, Brandon, Buddha's friend once said to me, he's like, everything that has a beginning has an end. And if you can accept that, then you know that, whatever ride you have with a relationship with somebody like a player like Sherman, like someday it's got to come to an end. And it's come to an end, and the sooner you accept it, the sooner you can get over it, and the sooner you can move on and roll with guys like Shaq Griffin and Coleman and hopefully maybe Byron Maxwell back.
Yeah, so one thing I guess we haven't talked about. We talked about Sherman and Bennett. I think let's move as much as we need to with this team. Let's move on from them, topically speaking, in this broadcast. Let's talk about a little bit of what's going on now and the potential free agents who are coming this way. We just signed a pass rusher today. The name, you guys know what I'm talking about? You're up to date on this.
Burkarvius, whatever the heck his first name is.
Mingo.
His last name's Mingo. Yeah,
yes. That's really the biggest. Well, actually, if I were to back up, within the team, we did bring McDougal back, which I don't know how much you do cartwheels and jump for joy, but I think that's a solid bring back that guy. Yeah. I think he proved his spot, right? We agree on that?
Yeah, he's all right. Justin Coleman's coming back.
Coleman, a couple of guys who filled in the secondary when Sherman was out and Chancellor was out. Those guys I thought they did pretty well. So what do you think of this new guy, the Mingo guy? What do you think about that signing? Does that get you excited?
He's a top 5 pick, a former top 5 pick, kind of flamed out. Yeah, flamed out with the Browns, which I think that happens to everybody that goes there. So I'm not sure I blame him. Picked up by New England. I played there for a year. Had 2 total tackles. And then where was he last year? Indy. Yeah. And had 2 sacks. This isn't a light your hair on fire move. This is a guy that can come in and play strong side linebacker and just be a guy. But the Seahawks have found hidden gems with veterans with talent that maybe other teams didn't see early on. He's only 27. I mean, maybe he'll be okay. I just, it didn't light my hair on fire. Let's say that. I'd rather have Shed.
It's like their linebacker signings last year, right? Nobody super exciting. It's a position that isn't on the field 100% of the time. The one thing that I did read about him is it sounds like he's a decent coverage linebacker. So he has that kind of flexibility that, maybe Bruce Irvin had, that where you can rush the passer with him, but also drop him back into coverage. So has some versatility.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you could be positive.
It's not the excitement. Like everybody as a Seahawks fan, you want him to go out day one, be in the news of, getting the big name free agent. But I mean, realistically, where the Seahawks are at, we ran down the list of the 4 or 5 guys that they just announced re-signing. They have 18 million left in cap space right now, and that's, if you're gonna try and get Sheldon Richardson or another guy on the defensive line, or maybe lo and behold sign somebody on the offensive line.
Easy.
I mean, you do need some funds for that. So there's, they're not going to go out and make any of these big moves. They're not going to bring on Sammy Watkins for 16 million, and thank goodness they're not, because those are the teams that you see doing that are generally the bad teams.
Yeah, bad teams who have $1 zillion in cap room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a financial reality. The Seahawks, because of what they did last year, just don't have a lot of money in the bank. While these other teams who have been sucking for like 3-4 years, like the 49ers, suddenly they just got all this money to play with. Why not spend 10 or 15 millions on this guy? Oh, let's bring this guy in. They got all the room to go for it. And the Rams and the Niners, man, they are going for it. Those guys have been making big signs, name after name. So it's hard not to get frustrated as we see the headlines roll by with all these star type names going by. And meanwhile, you get Seattle getting, hey, Seattle free agent pickup, Mingo. Okay.
Yay. Hey man, I'd rather not win the offseason and win during the regular season, because it's oftentimes you see these guys with the big free agency splashes. They go out there. I mean, the fabled dream team the Eagles put together, what was that, half a dozen years ago? Brought in every free agent under the sun, Nnamdi Asomugha, Vince Young, like all sorts of guys. They were going to take over the league, and then went out and promptly flopped.
And Vince Young guaranteed a Super Bowl that season, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think so. I think he did. Yeah. Whiff.
All right, so let's talk about the other two big signings, or not signings, the two guys that we let go. Really not too surprised on one, but Jimmy Graham and Paul Richardson. I think we all pretty much agreed, even the last time we talked, that Graham wasn't coming back. He's going to the Packers now for a pretty good amount of money, like we thought, about that 10 million range. I don't know what you guys think, but quick thoughts on how he's going to do with the Packers. I have a feeling he's going to return right back to his form like he was with the Saints, and it'll be as frustrating as hell, because we'll be watching Rodgers to Graham all day long, and we'll be going, why didn't we do that when we had him? But I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. What do you guys think?
He's a good system fit for the Packers. There's no doubt about it. It's a much more pass-friendly offense. That's how they use the tight ends to stretch the seams. Aaron Rodgers is great with that throw. It'll be really frustrating for the first 5 or 6 weeks. And then Aaron Rodgers will break his collarbone for the 96th time, and then we won't have to worry about it anymore. But it's going to suck for the first half of the season.
Well, and the Packers, they have to pay everybody on offense, and they haven't traditionally been able to really field that much of a defense. So I think we're going to see Minnesota control that division again, even with Kirk Cousins
Kirk
at the helm, though.
You know what? I'm going to give the Vikings some credit, though, with the way they did that contract. I think out of all the scenarios that you could have signed Kirk Cousins under, as far as the money, that really works. I mean, I understand they guaranteed the whole thing, but it was only for 3 years. Like, I expected him to get like a 5, 6, 7 year deal where some team just overpays wildly. The Vikings didn't do too bad there for a slightly above average quarterback.
It seemed like all those quarterback contracts going around, they're all for really short deals. A lot of 1-year deals going around right now, which is smart because you don't want to get locked up with a guy that you don't know if you have a future with. But yeah, considering that Kirk Cousins was the most sought after quarterback out there in the market, 3 years and didn't break 30 million. I thought for sure he was going to break the 30 million mark. Didn't really. The biggest part of that is the fully guaranteed part. That's the kind of the unprecedented part, is that he's getting all of it. He could break his leg tomorrow, and he's still good for whatever, $86 million. But the Vikings
of
were
the two guys, though. Of the two guys, I know the one that bums me out most is Jimmy Graham. Paul Richardson, I seeing him go to the Skins for $40 million over 5 years.
Wow,
man, I know.
Wow,
good for him.
That is such a Dan Snyder move. My Lord. I mean, there's no way you pay him that kind of money. No, he just doesn't have the production to warrant it. I don't get it at all.
I don't think they were watching anything about Paul Richardson except like his highlight reel. I think that's what they did. Like, wow,
Which
look
is
at that
outstanding.
catch. Look at that catch.
He's got a good highlight
What does he
reel.
want? Let's give it to him. But they didn't look at the other 2 seasons where he hardly played, But, hey, good for him, man. He went and got it. He made the most of his season last year, put it on tape, and this year he's cashing in. So good for him, but there's no way we were going to pay him that kind of money, But
No.
I think when we talked
Now
last...
now the team is minus its handsomest star. He was that most handsome man on the Seahawks, and now he's gone. I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, that's why the Skins had to overpay. They paid him the handsome tax, and he clearly raked it in.
That's what it was.
All right. Hey, let's go to some more calls here. I'm going to go to over the border in the north side here in British Columbia. I'm going to go to Anish. Anish, what's going on, brother? Thanks for hanging on.
Hey, Norb. Hey, Norb, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good, man. Thanks for your patience. I know you were on there for a long time, but how you been?
I've been good. I just want, before I begin, Sam Dog, our good buddy, he wanted you to just maybe give him a plug on his YouTube channel. Sam Dog, the infamous 253.
Sam Dog, the infamous 253, got a new YouTube channel. I think I'll add him in the description so you guys can check out his channel. But, Sam Dog's a good cat. There. So, what do you got, man? What's your thoughts on all this craziness?
Well, I'm a big, obviously, Sherman fan. Love the guy. Future Hall of Famer, obviously. He did so much for this franchise. It's tough seeing a guy like that go. But, as far as the money that we're saving, obviously we're going to need some of that cash. And, we have to go make some moves. But we can't be too dumb about making moves like getting these high-priced guys. Because usually these high-priced guys in free agency, they don't really usually pan out. Just look at, if you look around. Guys are starting to, these teams giving, signing these big checks. Sometimes these moves don't pan out, right? So, the Mingo signing, it's a low risk move, so I'm happy about that. As far as the tight end position, obviously Stephon Jenkins, his numbers last year don't wow you, but hopefully we give him a good deal and maybe he can stay.
That's a good one. Hold on there. So Austin Seferian Jenkins, that's an interesting one. I know he came to visit today. Now he's on his way to talk to the Jaguars. What do you guys think? The thought of him leaving the Bucs to come over here, what do you think? Is he a good fit for Seattle?
I can't really speak intelligently on it, to be honest. I don't know much about Austin Seferian Jenkins' game. I'm not a college football guy. I know he was a heck of a player in college. He hasn't seemed to really produce in the pros. I don't know. I guess it depends on the number with all of these guys. Sure, would I like to have him on a team for $3 million a year? You bet. Yeah, absolutely. Toss him out there. But I don't think he's going to sign for anything close to that. So I don't know. I can't speak to him as a player very well, but you can see that the Seahawks are making tight end a focus in free agent. They're bringing in about everybody and their dog who plays tight end.
We need tight ends because we don't have any tight ends except for what's his name?
Luke Vanette.
Vanette. I can't even think of his name. He's
or Nick Vanette.
Nick Vanette.
I didn't even get it right.
Yeah. We lost Luke Wilson, Jimmy Graham.
Don't leave Tyrone Swoops out of it too. He spent some time on the practice squad last year. So
he flashed in the preseason too. I liked him.
Yeah. Don't trust anything that flashes in the preseason. That doesn't mean anything. Anyway, Anish. So you brought up Austin Seferian Jenkins. I'm sure we'll hear about something in that in the next day or so. But yeah, any other thoughts?
Yeah, he's not going to sign here. Well, I was going to say, I don't think he's going to sign for $3 million. He just turned out a 2-year, $8 million deal with the Jets, so he's not coming here for $3 million, right? Let's be realistic, right? Unless he wants to play at home.
Unless he just really wants to be here.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I'm going to let some of the guys get at it. But just one thing, as far as DeMarco Murray, I heard he's in the facility today, or he was visiting Seattle with the reports out there. So you think with Carson being here, that's your two best options as far as having Carson here and having like a bridge running back with DeMarco Murray if he signs here. And I'll just hang up and listen. Thanks again. And
DeMarco Murray, that the two guys that they had brought in as running backs, DeMarco Murray and what's his name from the Panthers.
Jonathan Stewart.
He already signed with the Giants
already. Signed, but neither of those guys got me excited. These guys are 30. They're in their 30s, right? Past their prime. It's not as bad as the 80 Lacy, when that popped in, but it's not much better, to be honest. And so, if DeMarco Murray, if the news came out tomorrow that he got signed, I'd be like, oh, great. There's another $2-3 million that we can't spend on somebody else we could really use. At least that's my thoughts. You guys seem to be in the same boat.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God. Please, anybody but DeMarco Murray. This is a guy that he had the one great year in Dallas, right? He finally put it together. Then he gets picked up by the Eagles, can't do squat there. then ends up in Tennessee and has like one semi-good year and then is hurt all last year. He's a total system player. He has no pop. I mean, he's just one of those guys that just plows into the line for 2 to 3 yards a chunk, and that's it. There's nothing dynamic about his game, and now that he's over 30, that's a hard pass. No, thank you. Like, to fix the running game, I don't know how many times I have to say this at the top of my lungs. We don't need more backs. We need more offensive linemen. We need guards and stuff. They're important.
Yeah, and stuff. We need in stuff too. The problem here is that, I heard there was a good analogy on the radio earlier. The Rams and the 49ers, they've got money, so they're shopping at places like Nordstrom and Neiman Marcus. And Seattle's got like Walmart money. So they got to go buy from the Walmart stores. And so they can only buy the brands that they have for sale there. That's just the reality, So they got to be really, really smart with how they spend their bucks, because every dollar counts big time. And then the draft.
After they got rid of Richard Sherman and Michael Bennett, they had 44 players on their roster, which was the lowest of all NFL teams. And yet they were still, even freeing up some cap room, they were right around the middle of the pack. Well, now they're spending money on guys like Deion Jordan and Bradley McDougall and those guys. So you're just not going to have a lot of room with when you're already paying guys like Bobby Wagner and Earl Thomas and Russell Wilson. Hey, you can only pay so many awesome players.
Right. Yeah, that's just the reality, the financial reality. So, well, thanks, Anish, for the call. We're going to go to another one over in the 469. What's up? Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Joel, and I'm from Texas.
All right. What's your name, Joel?
Yeah.
All right. So, from Texas. Are you a Seahawks fan over there?
Yeah, I'm a Seahawks fan over here, but I was originally born in Washington State, but we moved out here.
All right. Right on. Well, what do you think about all this?
I think it's kind of like a little crazy, though, because, I mean, first of all, I heard that Jonathan Stewart and Jerick McKinnon were on the line, are in the free agent market. We could have gone over McKinnon, but now McKinnon went to the 49ers, and I think he would have been a good, decent player if y'all think so.
Yeah, I like McKinnon. I think he's a good running back, but we have a guy that is just as good as him and plays the same way, and J.D. McKissick. I mean, he's the same kind of player, and he's on a rookie deal, and he was our best back last year once Carson was injured.
Yeah.
But, I really think that they didn't tender Rawls today, and I think that's going to come back to bite us. I mean, you talk about spending Walmart money to try to plug your holes. Well, you should be able to pick up Thomas Rawls for Walmart money, and I refuse to believe he suddenly forgot how to run the ball. I think I see every single back run behind that offensive line since it's gotten crappy struggle, including Marshawn Lynch. So I'm not ready to write him off, but apparently the Seahawks are. I don't know. He must have blackmailed somebody. I don't know what
just like Alex Collins, he's going to go to some other team that has a decent offensive line, and he's going to run well for them. And we're going to go, oh, man, we let Thomas Rawls go.
And there was something going on. Even last year when the way they were using Rawls and they were benching him and stuff, there was something
going on.
Something not right there. I don't know if he pissed somebody off in the organization or there's just something they don't like about his attitude or something. But I was such a Rawls fan for so long. I hung in there trying to get him back on the field, wishing him to get back in there after he got injured. It just never came to fruition. And now I think we're looking at the end of the Rawls era, and he's going to go do something great on some other team, just like Alex Collins did, like you said. And we're going to all be going, why the hell did we let him go? He was such a great running back. What happened? And we will be shaking our heads with our hands in the air going, who knows? So, it's puzzling.
So once, if we never got a running back in free agency, we could have gone to the draft, but there's a guy named Darius Geis who's pretty good. I've watched his tape from LSU. It's not that bad. Or we could have probably traded if the Browns wanted to trade a pickup for Saquon Barkley because he's most likely to go to the Browns, but I guess not.
We don't have any capital to swap with those guys. We don't have anything to offer, right, guys? I mean, we don't have draft picks and we don't have money. You need both to be able to make deals like that, especially on a high draft like that. I mean, unless you're giving away major players. And again, we're already doing that. So we just don't have the capital. We get empty pockets. I'd love to.
Yeah, unless you're talking Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, but you aren't getting rid of those guys to get a running back who's not proven it in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but the Seahawks have a pretty decent track record of picking up productive backs, whether they are undrafted free agents or seventh-round picks. I mean, Rawls did have that one great year. Chris Carson looked like a legit back last year, seventh-round pick. I don't think that we have to necessarily draft a guy in the first 2 rounds. John Schneider and Pete Carroll are able to find backs later in the draft, and maybe they drafted a little higher this year, maybe like a 4th or 5th round pick, but I don't see them spending an early pick on it if they can even acquire a couple more, because without a 2nd and a 3rd, I don't know really what you do.
Yeah, we have so many holes. It's like you can't name a position where we don't have a need, other than quarterback. We still need a backup quarterback. Just add that to the list. But we've got needs at the offensive line, defensive line, secondary, running back, receiver, tight end. I mean, every punter. I mean, isn't John Ryan a free agent too?
No.
Yeah,
he's a potential. He could be cut just based off his salary going into this year, but which a lot of people are speculating.
He's got another year. I thought he was a free agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, good. That's one less guy to worry about. But we don't have a kicker yet. We don't have a kicker either. Really, at least one that we can really feel comfortable about. But it reminds me of. Have you guys seen the movie Dunkirk?
I have not.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember the scene? Well, anyway, I'm going to spoil it for some of you guys, but there's a scene where all the troops are trying to get into this boat that's been washed ashore, and they're going to try to bring it out to the ocean, escape on it. And then some guy starts shooting the thing up with a machine gun, so the whole hull is got like riddled with just hundreds of bullets, and they're all trying to plug the holes up with their fingers and everything they can to try to keep this boat from sinking. And I'm going, there's no way, you guys are screwed. And it feels like that scene in Dunkirk is like what the Seahawks are right now. I mean, all the needs they have, trying to plug up all these holes, and there's just not enough fingers and shirts and things to stick in them. So it's I hope they've got a plan, man, because it's just it's hard to imagine that this hole that we're trying to dig ourselves out of is so big. But
well, you gotta change your perspective on it a little bit, Norb, because think about it in these terms. When Pete Carroll came to the team, and John Schneider came to the team, they were, they had more holes than they know what to do with. I mean, they had a boat riddled with bullet holes, man. And they managed to fill all the holes, and they figured it out along the way. And this is a new beginning. This is a new chapter that we get to go on and have a team that's structured a little differently with new guys and an opportunity. This is an opportunity for these guys to do what they did best early on in their iteration of this organization. They found guys where nobody else could find guys. 5th, 6th, 7th round, undrafted guys, savvy free agent pickups that were undervalued, like Mike Bennett the first time we picked him up. I mean, this is the opportunity they have. It's what they're best at, and with their backs up against the wall, I have a little faith that they can pull a rabbit out of their hat here. But they got to find a guard
and stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
And some stuff too.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think we should have kind of went for Andrew Norwell, but his money would have been so high that we couldn't be able to get him. And also, I heard that Jordy Nelson was taking a visit, and Austin Stephon-Jenkins too. So I mean, we just have to see what happens between them two.
Yeah, we did talk about Austin Stephon-Jenkins, but you did bring up Jordy Nelson. I didn't want to get the opinion from those guys. But hey, Joel, thanks for your call. I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you on the next sessions. But thanks, I appreciate your calling in. But what do you guys think about Jordy Nelson, 32 years old now, I think. Obviously great receiver for the Packers. What do you think? Would you be excited if they found a way to sign Jordy Nelson to the Seahawks?
I mean, again, it comes down to cost, right? If they get a good deal on a guy like Jordy Nelson, then yeah, absolutely, I'll take him. But I think receiver, again, it's another one of those positions that, you look at how the Seahawks were built, and the areas where they were able to go out and find guys, it's been undrafted wide receivers like Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett was the highest draft pick that's worked out for him at receiver. Jermaine Kearse, another undrafted guy. Ricardo Lockett was a undrafted guy who filled in well filled in a role for the team. So they've been able to find these undrafted guys and build their team up with those types of players. And cornerback's been the exact same position, right? They've gone out and, late round guys like Richard Sherman and Byron Maxwell and even, Jeremy Lane, guys that have come on and they've gotten contracts and then gone on to other teams, and they haven't been the types of players there that they were in Seattle. So we know that Pete Carroll and John Schneider can go out and find guys, specifically at those positions where they don't have to overpay in free agency. So, if you get a guy like Jordy Nelson, great, as long as you're not overpaying for him.
Well, here's the thing, Brandon. I mean, Paul Richardson just got $10 million a year from the Redskins, right? If I'm 8 to 10, right? So if I'm Jordy Nelson's agent, I'm not asking for less than Paul Richardson money. I'm not signing Jordy Nelson for that.
Go to the
money.
Raiders then.
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't make any sense at that point. I think he's still a good player and a productive player. I think he's got 2 or 3 more good years left in him. But skill positions isn't where we're really suffering right now. I mean, between Doug Baldwin and Tyler Lockett, you've got 2 stud receivers. Figure out something at tight end. I still think that Nick Vannett actually might be the answer there. I mean, they touted his blocking ability coming out of the draft, and that's exactly what we need from that position. I think Chris Carson can actually be a productive back. I just don't see spending the little bit of resources you have, that Walmart money, on a Ferrari like Jordy Nelson. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I would spend either on the D line or the offensive line.
It does start in the trenches, as we know. So I think, like you said, doing what they did back in the early parts of the years with Schneider and Carroll, drafting, finding those gems in the later rounds, they've just got to get back to what they did 2012. 13, because since then, they really have missed on a lot of their drafts, and they've got to go back to finding and drafting much better. They actually did pretty good last year. If you really look at it, they were off, I'd say, between, 2013 to 16. They didn't really hit on very many, but when you look at what they did last year, I count, if you were to include the bust that was Malik McDowell, if he had actually not gotten into an ATV accident, he would have been a starter. So if you include him, we would have had 5 guys on the starting rotation that would have, if it had not been for injury. That's Malik McDowell, Chris Carson, Ethan Posick, Shaquille Griffin, and I'm missing one more. There's a 5th one in there. Nas Jones. Those are 5 legitimate guys who would have been on the starting rotation through the season had they not been injured. So they actually did pretty good with the draft last year. So if they can keep that going and get majority of the guys to make an impact and stay with us for a number of years, then I think that would be something we need really badly. So hopefully they can do it.
If they can trade that first down to pick up more 3rd round picks, then they'll be in that range where they can get those types of guys that they got last year. And that's what I would assume that they do. Because you might be able to get some guy who's great at 18. And the Seahawks have done really well when they've drafted inside the 20s, but then you're missing out on potential depth at other positions.
Well, and 2, I think the last few drafts kind of get an unfair rap. I mean, I saw a little graphic the other day. Somebody had kind of put it into perspective, like who's still on the team, who's trending up, who's trending down, who's a bust, who was a hit. And you kind of go through that. And really, if you get 2 guys out of a draft, 3 that can actually play, be contributors, that's a successful draft. That's how hard it is to evaluate NFL talent and for them to even put it together when they get to the NFL stage, not even taking into account injuries or running your ATV into like a giant boulder or something, whatever it is Malik McDowell did. So it's tough. It's tough to hit. And I think their draft track record really isn't that terrible. I think they kind of get a bum rap for that.
Well, I think it's also because they did so well in those early years that when they didn't follow up with quite the same level of success, it seems like they really, fell down off of the, the high level that they were at. But like I said, last year was actually pretty good, all said and done. So, let's go to another call. Let's go to Cameron over in Portland. Cameron, what's up, man? Thanks for your call. What's happening?
Yeah, nothing. Just kind of frustrated.
Yeah, frustrated about what in particular?
Well, first we'll start with, I knew Sherman wouldn't last forever with the Hawks. I just kind of wish he would, but honestly, he's with the Niners, and I was necessarily not happy with that. And one of my neighbors who is a 49ers fan is not going to stop talking about it.
Yeah, well,
Then
49er fans definitely do a lot of talking, but now when they have something to really talk about, we're not going to hear the end of it at least till the season starts.
Well, now they do a lot of talking. I hadn't heard from a 49ers fan in 3 years. I didn't know they still existed. I thought they were on the endangered species list or something. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting a lot of chirping from Niner fan. Congratulations, you have your handsome quarterback and you stole our corner. You know, have a nice day. But you're still on the up, coming up here, young blood.
You've still lost 9 straight to the Seahawks. So
Minor
until
detail.
maybe you get one in against us.
Right. What else you
So
got?
I was really sad that we lost Jimmy Graham.
You're sad about Jimmy Graham being gone?
Yeah, because Graham is one of my favorite Seahawks players. Since he stepped in Seattle, I could see a lot of potential from him. I saw the way he played for. God, what was the team he played for before?
Saints. New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, the Saints.
Yeah.
I saw the way he played for the Saints, and I was like, I see a lot of potential in him playing for the Hawks, and now seeing him gone is very kind of sad for me.
Yeah. Well, sounds like dinner's ready for you there, Cameron. So we won't hold you up from dinner, man. Don't want to leave your mom waiting.
It's fine. It's fine. It's just me and my mom. There'll be enough for me for later.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, the Jimmy Graham experiment. You know, it's funny because that actually really he did contribute quite a bit. If you look at the just sheer touchdowns. The problem is, I think if you look at just the touchdowns, it's a little bit of an overinflated stat. Not to say that touchdowns aren't important, but it's like remove him from inside the 5-yard line, and then suddenly productivity drops down like off the cliff. So that was the part that was hard to balance. How we felt about the Jimmy Graham experiment was so many touchdowns, but so many times he would disappear when we weren't in those within the 5. You know what I mean?
And just a complete liability in the run game. And so that makes it all the more harder for your offense. Now you start playing, one-handed. You take away the run game, and then it's just all Russell Wilson, doing pirouettes in the backfield, dodging dudes because your offensive line blocks like traffic cones. And he was able to chuck up a few touchdowns to Jimmy, and that's great. But maybe with that number, with Jimmy's number coming off the books, that helps with bringing in some other folks. I'd be interested what you guys think about the possibility of the honey badger coming in. Because last time I was on here, I was going sea bass fishing. But I think now I'm going to live trap some badgers. I want me some honey badger.
Well, that's just like with Sherman going to the Niners. Then now we can make the Cardinals worse. And the only thing is that then you're starting to get crowded again. But in the secondary, if you have Earl Thomas and you have McDougal and you have Honey Badger. But I'd love to have Tyrann Mathieu on this team. That's a guy that, there's 2 players for the Cardinals that I like, and it's Larry Fitzgerald and it's Tyrann Mathieu. And that's it. Yeah. And so I would love to have either of those guys in a Seahawks uniform. I know with Fitzgerald it's not going to happen. But
well, I think if Earl Thomas were to leave, that would be a very nice replacement, if he had to go.
Wait. So they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have to put the Honey Badger in Earl Thomas's position. They played Tyrann Mathieu up in the box a lot as a nickel corner. There was a lot of creative ways to use him.
They move him all over.
Yeah, he's almost like a big nickel player, like another linebacker on the field in a way. I don't think that there's any reason you couldn't have Thomas, McDougal, and Mathieu on the field at the same time. It honestly makes a lot of sense. It's something they've been kind of trying to experiment with for a while now.
Yeah, kind of like that big dime package kind of thing, right? With a lot of corners and safeties out there, right? It's just we have with Deshaun Shed, again, the frustration about the whole Deshaun Shed thing is that we're so thin at cornerback. We got no depth at corner, and so we have depth at safety if you look at our, the backups that we have, but corner is a big void right now. So. Anyway, but it would be intriguing because he's still a good player. Getting up there, had a lot of injuries, but I think he's still got a little bit left in the tank.
Yeah, I heard. I've been keeping up with the Seahawks news about how we were looking at DeMarco Murray and Jordy Nelson. When I first heard about DeMarco Murray, I'm still a bit iffy about it because Murray before played for the Cowboys, then the Eagles, and then went to the Titans. When I heard he was looking at Seattle, I was like, and I think either Brandan or Adam mentioned this before, it's not that we really need a back, we need an offensive line. Our backs are fine, aside from except for Thomas Rawls, who didn't have the best of the season this season, J.D. McKissick and Mike Davis, who were doing very good for, I think, their first season with Seattle. I think our more problem is the offensive line, not the back.
Adam, I know that's how you feel. It's not the back. It's,
Yeah,
it's the line they run behind.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, the idea, though, too, is that they didn't tender Rawls and they didn't tender Mike Davis either. So both those guys are free agents now. So basically right now your backfield consists of Chris Carson, J.D. McKissick, C.J. Prosise, and is that about it? I think that's it. So that's
I think that
kind
is
of a bare cupboard when you think about these guys' injury history.
And Mike Davis too, and again, he was pretty solid. Had his own set of injuries, but I don't know if it's that he was really that good or we were so desperate for something that Mike Davis runs for 8 yards. Oh, what a back! He's amazing. Kind of lowered our bar a little bit because we'd been having nothing for so long.
Yeah.
Suddenly a guy runs for plus yardage and it seemed like the next, Walter Payton or something. But, the injury thing is the part that's just been the curse for our backfield. Nobody can stay on the field for any length of time. So, but yeah, that line, our offensive line is still, we haven't talked about that at all yet, really. And that's been the biggest complaint all season. It's just the defense depletion has kind of overtaken our offensive line complaints because that's all we've been talking about is all the players we've lost in the defense. But the offensive line is still the need we've got to fix because we know that was a problem last year. So.
Well, and the Seahawks, they might be doing that through just bringing in, they let Tom Cable go, they bring in Mike Solari, and they could see it's really going to depend on how they feel with a lot of their young guys on the offensive line now. Are they going to go after a free agent potentially, or are they just going to address it, get some more depth through the draft and hope some of those guys that maybe were injured last year, some of the young guys, that they can improve through coaching and a different scheme.
Yeah, that's got to be the hope. I mean, at this point, because I honestly don't see them signing a big name offensive lineman. It's not in their history. It's not something that they've done. And I think it's going to be filled through the draft. Or, I mean, you saw John Schneider make a trade for Dwayne Brown. I mean, there's still that option out there that he may be able to trade for, maybe not somebody of Dwayne Brown's caliber, but a left guard of starting quality. I mean, if you brought in a decent left guard and you have Brown, whoever that guard is, and Britt on the left side, that automatically gives you a pretty strong left side of your offensive line, and at least somewhere you could go to as your bread and butter in the run game.
So are you saying you don't believe in Ethan Posick at left guard, Adam?
Out of all the young guys on the team, I believe in Ethan Posick the most. I really think that he played pretty dang well for the most part last year. His biggest problem is easily strength. And that is one of the more easily fixed problems in the NFL. And especially as a young guy coming into the league, he's got a full offseason of an NFL workout program now and to go ahead and build up that strength. I think he could be a fine left guard. Wherever he ends up, I think he might end up a right tackle at the end of the day. But I think he can play. I think he's one of the guys that we should be able to hang our hat on next year.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there because I think we covered this last time, and Adam, I don't think you're going to like it. But our offensive line, Dwayne Brown, left tackle, Ethan Posick, left guard, Justin Britt, center, slide Jermaine Ifedi to right guard, and then we bring back...
You trying to get Adam to say George Fant?
George Fant at right tackle, baby. Woo! Yeah! What do you think, man? That's better than a Jordy Nelson signing right there.
That'll go awesome. I think we should try it.
What else do we have right now, right?
Yeah, there's a little of that. I mean, George Fant coming off the knee injury, it's a lot to come back from, and a guy with limited experience. And I don't know. I'm hoping Solari isn't the type of coach that really falls in love with, kind of measurables, because that's kind of what it seemed like with Tom Cable. Like if a guy met a few certain measurables and was a certain kind of athlete, he didn't care if you were playing pickup basketball the day before they gave you a call and said you're going to be our starting left tackle, because he figured he can make anybody a starting caliber player in the NFL. So hopefully Solari has a better eye for these sort of things, and this draft maybe bags us an offensive lineman or two.
Adam didn't even mention his favorite tackle who's on the roster, Willie Beavers. He needs to get in the starting lineup.
Absolutely. I need to see Willie Beavers in the game more. That's for sure. And I really want his number to be 69. I do.
All right. Well, hey, we got another caller here, and this is a special one because we're talking about a 49ers fan from California. This is Rohan. What's up, man?
What? Yep. Hey, guys. Last time I was on here, I think I was looking at motorcycles, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm back.
Okay, you're back. So, Rohan, you're in Niner Nation. You just got Richard Sherman. You guys are stacking, loading up the weaponry. What's the vibe there, having Richard Sherman on your team now and the new look of your 49ers? Are you embracing Richard Sherman?
On Saturday night when I was doing my live stream and I heard about Richard Sherman, I changed the live stream wall, the thumbnail, to a photo of Richard Sherman with his Seahawks jersey blacked out and a Niners logo in the background. Yeah, talking about it for a while with my friends. It was pretty good. Pretty good when you get a rival who's burned you for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Long time.
Mm-hmm.
So was it an instant? Was it an instant? Oh yeah, we got Sherman, or was it kind of like you had to sort of slowly swallow the pill because you've hated this guy for so long to suddenly he's on your team, or were you like immediately open arms, full embrace? This guy's gonna make a difference for us.
For me, it was the first one, but I think for most of the Niner fans, it was the second one because he was a Seahawks player. And considering that, I was thinking, when the Niners play the Seahawks this year, what's Norb's prediction going to be in his prediction video? I'm thinking a song, like what are the lyrics going to be? Like, I wish we could have kept Sherman. Now he's playing in the Bay. The Niners got much better. They'll get this win. Now we go and face whoever's next. Yeah.
Oh man, you're flowing there. I was getting into it, man. I had the rhythm going. That was good. You came prepared, man.
Yep.
Nicely done on the song, man. But I'll get to that. You know, this may be the most depressing prediction video I've made in a long time. But we'll see. We'll see. It's still early in the off season. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm still waiting for you guys. I'm still waiting for the Seahawks to make a move because right now it looks like you guys can't buy that $7 movie theater popcorn or $8 down up there.
Yeah, we're not even we're not even in the theater. We're just watching home videos right now because we can't afford to go to the movies right now.
On VHS.
What are you guys at, like 10 million cap space?
No, I think we have a little bit. Oh, I don't know. After the signing, I'm not sure where we're currently at.
Oh yeah. You guys.
Well, it was a fun strategy of the 49ers to not pay for anybody for so long that you got money in the bank now. You feeling pretty good now that you have some money in the bank and you can go out and pay $8 million to Gary Gilliam. That's fun.
Yeah, I'm just more worried about. Well, I mean, now the Niners aren't the king of the cap space because the Jets have way too much cap space. They're like 70, 80 million in cap space. The Browns and the Colts still have more cap space. So yeah, as long as those teams don't get into a bidding war with the Niners, I'll be fine.
Well, so tell me, how cocky are you, or how confident are you in the 49ers this upcoming season? Are you guys already ready to make room in the trophy case for that next Lombardi, or are you still a little bit, kind of wait and see?
Well, I mean, I had that feel on Saturday, but then when free agency kicked off, I was like, oh, come on. The teams we play this year are the ones getting all the good players. Like, Chicago got better, I guess. Green Bay, since we get to play in Green Bay this year, they got your tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And, yep, I may go buy some tickets to Levi's this year because the last time I was there, the Niners won the game, but they gave up 3 touchdowns, 3 non-offensive touchdowns.
That sounds like a 49ers fan right there. Right there. Like, oh, we finally got a couple guys. Maybe I'll buy a ticket again. Maybe start showing up to games. Wow.
It can't be that expensive. It can't be that expensive for you to show up. Nobody goes to the games. I don't know. Maybe they'll start packing the house now that Richard Sherman's there.
Dude, Norb, the wine and cheese you have to have at your tailgate is expensive. So it does get a little cost prohibitive.
Yeah, that's true. That's more expensive than the ticket itself. But
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, man.
San Fran beer.
All right, Joe. Well, it's good to hear. You know, we'll definitely have to check in during the season to see where things are at. You know, and remember where this day was, this point in time, and see what happens once the season gets going. But right now, you guys, you and the Rams, it's like the Cold War. You two teams trying to stockpile and out.
Yep. I'm still waiting for the Seahawks to get involved.
Yeah, you might be waiting a while, man. We're like I said, you guys are over at Nordstrom. We're over at Walmart, still looking at the coupon deals.
Yep.
But anyway.
Yep. Not so much in danger now.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. You know, it's not quantity, it's quality. So we'll see what happens. But all right, thanks for the call, man. Good luck the rest of the season. We'll check in with you later.
Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Man,
right.
it is so hilarious for a 49ers fan not to buy a ticket until a Seahawk got on his team. That was the one thing that inspired him.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, they might actually fill up half the building this year.
Well, not the sunny side. It's too hot.
Oh, that's
it's
true.
Too hot
on that
Can't
side,
do
yeah.
it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let's see. How much time you guys got left? I was planning to go to about 7:30. Can you guys swing another 15 minutes or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
All right, let's do it. Let's go to the 256. I don't even know where the 256 is. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Colin Moore from Alabama.
Oh, yeah, I've spoken to you before. Colin from Alabama. So, what's up, man? What's on your mind? What do you think about this?
I'm just over here boiling, mad ever since this 49er just got off the phone. But I'm still mad about the whole Richard Sherman thing. You know, I know we've talked about it. But for him to decide to go to the 49ers less than 24 hours just makes me mad. I don't understand why he did that. But I'm calling for, free agency. How come we're not picking up anybody, for an offensive lineman? I understand the cap space and all that, but why are we not in the mix for like somebody that offensive guard from the Patriots or that offensive lineman from Jacksonville? How come we're not, trying to get somebody instead of the Eagles, that third string Eagles wide receiver that we got? I mean, I just don't understand what's going on in Seattle right now.
Well, the receiver from the Eagles, that was part of the Michael Bennett trade, so that was just part of the package in that deal. But I don't know, fellas, is it strictly economics why we haven't been making any more moves in an offensive line standpoint?
Let's see. Today's Thursday, and free agency literally just started today. So we have a little bit of time, fortunately, before the season gets here, and we really need to start making moves to fill out the roster. But, I mean, really, it was the two top guys you were going to see go were Andrew Norwell, who played for the Panthers last year, Nate Solder, who played for the Patriots. Those are your top two guys. And now that they're off the board, now you might start to see guys like Josh Sitton. You might see guys like, Winston Richburg. He went to the 49ers. Again, they have money to spend. But, some of these other, Josh Sitton's the main one that comes to mind, I guess, that would probably be next to come off the board. Justin Pugh might be another guy. And both Sitton and Pugh have played in for Mike Solari, the current offensive line coach. So we might start to see a little bit more movement now that free agency started and some of those top players are off the board.
Was that a dad joke, sitting in Pew?
Yeah.
Like, that was terrible.
I just don't understand. I mean, I don't get it. Like, I know free agency starts tomorrow and all that, but there's so many. I don't even know. I'm just mad right now just thinking about how we're not making any moves and we don't have any money to do anything, so we're just sitting there letting all these good players go. And I just saw A.J. McCarron went to the Bills, and we need a backup quarterback. So I just feel like that we're just letting these people go, and we're not doing anything about it.
Well, I'm not out on T-Boyk as the backup. I actually like Trevon Boykin, and I think he's going to be a fine backup for us this year. under contract on the team. So, I mean, we can bring in another guy if you want, but I think he's fine there. When you're talking about all the holes to fill, I don't think that I'd spend a dime on backup quarterback. I mean, considering that the backup quarterback never sees the field because Russell Wilson is an Iron Man.
Talk to the Eagles. Talk to the Eagles about the value of a backup quarterback, though. But
sure. I mean, I'm still in denial that Nick Foles has won a Super Bowl. I'm sorry, I can't accept it. But the thing is that there's a lot of other things that you can do throughout the season, and to kind of steal a Pete Carroll quote. I mean, it's not. You can't win the game in the first quarter. You can't win it in the second and third. You can win the game in the fourth quarter, and this is just the beginning of how you fill out a roster. And so, no, they're not making a lot of big splashy moves now, but there's a lot of things to come. And the Seahawks, with their limited cap space, aren't going to be a player in that first wave of free agency where guys command huge contracts. Where I think you'll see a lot more activity is in that second wave of free agency for guys that go for a lot lesser money.
The teams right now that you see making big moves are the bad teams. We don't want to be one of those teams.
Right. I understand. But it's hard to win games when all things you just pass the ball to Doug Baldwin. I mean, we don't have Jimmy Graham anymore or Paul Richardson. Our offensive line can't, block for Eddie Lacy or Thomas Rawls, and heaven forbid us get another running back. I don't know what we're going to do offensively, and since we're losing everybody on the defense, I don't think it's as balanced as it was last year.
Well, we kind of lost everybody on the defense last year when everybody got hurt and still managed to win 9 games. I mean, I think one of the things that we need to remember here is that as long as Russell Wilson is healthy and our starting quarterback, that's 9 wins. It's 9 wins. He basically pulled 9 wins out of his butt all by himself this year, accounting for 900% of the offense.
And if we had a kicker, we would have had 12.
Correct. So really, some of these losses that we're seeing, these are guys like Sherman didn't play for almost half the season, and we still managed to survive. I think that I don't think the team is as in desperate straits as a lot of the national media likes to put it out there that it is. I think we're in a little better shape than you might think. But I agree with you, man. They gotta go after a guard or two, try to solidify that just a little bit, give us a chance, because this is going to have to be a Russell Wilson-centric team going forward, and I think that's good news for the Seahawks.
Yeah, and let's wait until free agency is open for, 2 weeks before we make a decision on how much they're doing in free agency, because we've seen in past years that John Schneider likes to kind of buy time a little bit and see who's out there, see who the value picks are, and not go out and overpay for players like you see teams overpaying for guys like Sammy Watkins or Sammy Watkins was the big one, right? Who else got just huge, crazy money?
As far as receiver or just free agency in general?
Just anybody. Free agency in general. It just seems like you're seeing guys just with contracts that Paul Richardson's a good example too. We got somebody who and I guess wide receiver is the one that's coming to mind to me right now. But
Malcolm Butler, Malcolm
Butler,
60 million. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
do you think we should have went after Malcolm Butler?
No.
Okay. And I understand that him being with the Seahawks would just be weird and everything after the whole Super Bowl.
But too. There's no.
I don't think it's about it. Would have been. I mean, if you could put the price aside and go, who would you want to have? Yeah, maybe you kind of get into those discussions philosophically. Would we want to have Malcolm Butler versus somebody else? But we just couldn't be in the conversation. We couldn't have the conversation about it because he was out of our price range to begin with. Like Adam said about trying to buy a Ferrari when all you can do is afford an Accord. That's just kind of the reality.
Well, if we don't pick up an offensive line, do you think we'll pick up one in the draft during free agency?
We have to.
I would guarantee it. They're going to bring in at least 2 or 3 bodies by hook or by crook. I mean, some way, somehow, whether that's they bring in a couple lesser-known free agents, they make a trade, they draft somebody, or they bring in a bunch of undrafted guys to compete. I think that's what they really need to do with the offensive line. I mean, when they had success finding gems is when they were really churning the roster, making a crap ton of transactions. And I'd like to kind of see that on the offensive line done.
Yeah,
I agree.
They just can't waste good draft picks and big money on bust deals. You know, the Eddie Lacy type scenario. We just can't have that situation. The Malik McDowell, granted, we couldn't see his ATV crash coming, but there were some red flags about him that people, you know, they're talking about his work ethic and things like that. Not that that had anything to do with his accident, so maybe that's really kind of not even fair to make the comparison. But point is, our number one draft pick is not on the field and probably looks like he won't ever be unless they're going to surprise us this year. So they're going to have to do better than that. You can't waste a number one draft pick like that. And hopefully nothing like that would ever happen again. But we've got to definitely do better with whatever they decide to do, whether they trade down and make two great picks out of the one or get that one guy who's going to make a huge difference, be an impact starter. But we need to have that kind of batting percentage in this year's draft, I think. So. But hey, Colin, thanks again for your call, man. Appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, take it easy,
yes,
man.
Sir. Have a good one.
All right. I think we have time for one more. Let's
do
more. It's been there for a while. Let's go to Caleb in Arizona. Caleb, are you there?
Yep.
What's up, man? What are you thinking?
Well, first, before I have my question, I just wanted to say, since I'm down here in Arizona, when Sherman got released and I went to the 49ers, everybody and their mothers were giving me crap after crap. And now that Tyrann Mathieu just left the Cardinals, I got to return the favor, and it was glorious.
Well,
but now what my thoughts are I watching the free agency I see. All these guys going. Some people getting released. Some people are just being let become free agents. And I still see no one coming. But what I'm just wondering is, who do you think that we should get from free agency?
That's a tough one.
Well, there's the two guys that I would really look at, and I've already mentioned them. I would, if they're going to spend $8 to $10 million on a player like they did for Luke Jokel last year, go out and bring in Josh Sitton and, potentially plug him in at left guard, or Justin Pugh, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. From the Giants last year, and I'm a little bit more out on him just because he had back issues last year. You don't know how well he's recovered, but Mike Solari is a guy who came from the Giants, so he would know exactly how a guy like Pugh was recovering from his injury. So those two guys really, and apart from that, I don't know if I see anybody that the Seahawks would go out and spend $8 to $10 million on, unless they're going to bring back Sheldon Richardson. I know Ndamukong Suh is out there, but I don't see him taking a pay cut. Well, that drastic of a pay cut to come to Seattle when there's other teams out there that are going to, he's always been the same type of, he's been about getting them checks. And I think Sue is going to go to whoever pays him the most money, and the Seahawks aren't going to be able to do it.
Well, you brought up Sheldon Richardson. What do you guys think of him coming back? Do you want him back, and do you think it's likely we'll make that happen?
Things have been really quiet on him. I'm a little bit surprised that you haven't heard of any other teams, getting a visit with Richardson. So it kind of makes you think that maybe the Seahawks are in negotiations with him, and that's really what this is all about. Making enough room under the cap by letting Richard Sherman go, and so you have that money to spend on the defensive line when you've lost guys like Michael Bennett and potentially Cliff Averill not coming back. They could use more guys on the interior defensive line.
Yeah, Brandon, I think that's an excellent point, that it has been extremely quiet on the Sheldon Richardson front. You haven't even heard his name linked to any other team in the league.
No.
Like there's been no news regarding his free agency to this point. And I think that actually does bode well for the Seahawks. I think it's a lot like you said, Brandon. They looked at Richardson's agent and said, look, we want to have you back, but we're going to have to, shuffle the deck around here a little bit. Give us a few days, and we'll come in with an offer. I'd be happy if they brought him back. Again, it all depends on the number, but I think that a young stud D tackle in his prime, that's a guy that's a guy you pay.
I'd like to see him back. He may not have been the huge impact player that I think everybody hoped he would be is the moment he came on the field, but he made some pretty good plays. And, again, we need that. Losing the guys we lost last year with Bennett and potentially Averill as well, we need some solid veteran studs in there who can just, are athletic, and that guy can move. That guy can really play. He's as versatile as a Bennett is, and I think it's worth, investing in him to keep him around. So he's here already. Let's just keep him. He's one of the guys I think is worth keeping. So hopefully that's what they do.
Yeah, I'd be okay with Richardson coming back. I think maybe what we're going to see is now that Ndamukong Suh was released from the Dolphins, we'll see where he ends up landing, for how much, and then that'll kind of give teams an idea where Sheldon Richardson will slot in with his salary.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, Mo Wilkerson got his 1-year deal, right? That's kind of the start of setting the market. But yeah, Sue would be the guy.
You think Richardson would get more than Wilkerson for what little he got for the Packers?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Wilkerson's a hell of a player with a bad rap a little bit about getting paid and not really playing.
Yeah.
You kind of heard some of those same things about Richardson too. So maybe you can get him for a little less than you might think.
All right. Well, thanks, Caleb, for the call. I think we're at that time. Hour and a half goes by fast when you're talking Seahawks free agency. But before we wrap up, I want to thank our guests, Brandan and Adam from the Seahawks Podcasters. I want you guys tell everybody where they can find you, your website, and just all the information you want to get out there to all the audience out there.
Yeah, Seahawkerspodcast.com. You can check our website out. And then if you want to listen to us on your phone, if you have an Android phone, Seahawkerspodcast.com/Android. If you got an Apple phone, Seahawkerspodcast.com/iOS. Or no matter what phone you have, you can go to Seahawkerspodcast.com/Spotify. And we're in Spotify too.
You bet. Subscribe on iTunes. Review the show. Listen. It's awesome, man. Look, just Google Seahawks Podcast, and you won't have a hard time finding it.
And on social media, I got your names there on the left, at Seahawkers Pod and at Adam the Rant. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Thanks for that one, Brandon. He signed me up and picked my handle and everything. I didn't have a choice.
All right. Well, I personally want to say thank you again for you guys coming back and being part of my show. I think what you guys do is great. You have awesome insight. You're a great tandem team to listen to, and it's great to have the three of us on here to talk a little bit about this crazy time, which is Seahawks free agency. So I appreciate it. Thanks again for your guys' time, and I hope we can do this again sometime. Check in again sometime later in free agency, and we'll see what else is brewing that we can talk about. You guys game for that?
I appreciate it, Norb. Go Hawks.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Go Hawks.
All right, guys, take it easy. Let's do this thing. Go Hawks.
Yes, sir.